Long before the world as we know it existed, the ancient Sumerians told stories of how everything began. Their myths of creation are some of the oldest known to humanity, written on clay tablets in a land between two great rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. This is the story of how the Sumerians believed the universe came to be, a tale of gods, chaos, and the birth of the earth and sky. In the beginning, there was no earth, no sky, and no life. There was only the endless, dark waters of Nammu, the primeval sea. From these waters, the first gods were born. The most powerful of these early gods were An, the god of the heavens, and Ki, the goddess of the earth. At first, An and Kai were joined together, a single mass of heaven and earth, with no separation between them. But the gods who came after them desired space and order. Among these younger gods was Enlil, the god of wind and storms. Enlil was strong and restless, and he grew tired of the tight embrace of heaven and earth. With a mighty force, he pushed An, the sky, upward, and pulled Ki, the earth, downward. This separation created the world as the Sumerians knew it, a place where the skies stretched above and the earth lay below, with air and wind moving between them. Now that the earth and sky were apart, the gods could live and move freely. But they soon realized that they needed servants to tend to their needs. The gods did not wish to labor themselves, so they decided to create beings who would work for them. The task of creating these beings fell to the goddess Nammu, the ancient sea, and her son Enki, the god of wisdom and water. Nammu and Enki took clay from the earth and mixed it with the waters of the Abzu, the underground ocean of fresh water. From this mixture they shaped the first humans. But these early humans were rough and lifeless. They needed the breath of the gods to live. Enki called upon the mother goddess Ninmah to give them life. She breathed into them, and the first humans awakened, ready to serve the gods. The humans were placed in the land of Sumer, a fertile region between the rivers. Their task was to build cities, grow crops, and honor the gods with temples and offerings. The greatest of these temples was the ziggurat, a towering structure built to reach the heavens. The gods were pleased with their creation, and for a time all was well. But the gods were not always kind. They could be angry and jealous, and their disputes often brought suffering to humans. One such story tells of the Great Flood, a punishment sent by the gods when they grew tired of human noise and rebellion. The god Enki, however, took pity on one good man, Ziusudra. He warned Ziusudra of the coming flood, and told him to build a great boat to save his family and the seeds of all living things. When the flood came, the waters covered the earth, destroying all life. Only Ziusudra and his family survived, floating on the boat until the waters receded. When the flood ended, Ziusudra made offerings to the gods, and they regretted their harsh punishment. They granted Ziusudra eternal life as a reward for his piety. The Sumerians believed that the gods controlled every aspect of their world. The sun, the moon, the storms, and the harvests were all under the command of divine beings. Utu, the sun god, brought light and justice. Nanna, the moon god, guided the nights and measured time. Inanna, the goddess of love and war, brought both passion and conflict. Among these gods, Enlil remained one of the most powerful. He was the ruler of the earth, and his word was law. But even Enlil was not all-powerful. The gods themselves were bound by the Mi, the sacred rules of the universe. These rules governed everything from kingship to crafts, from music to truth. The Mi were given to the gods by Enki, who held the secrets of creation. The Sumerians told many stories of the gods and their struggles. One such story is the myth of Inanna's descent into the underworld. Inanna, the queen of heaven, wished to expand her power and decided to visit the underworld, ruled by her sister Ereshkigal. But the underworld was a place of darkness and death, and entering it was no easy task. Inanna passed through 7 gates, and at each gate She was forced to remove a piece of her clothing or jewelry. By the time she reached her sister, she stood naked and powerless. Ereshkigal, angry at her sister's pride, struck her dead and hung her body on a hook. With Inanna gone, the earth grew barren, and the gods mourned. Enki, seeing the suffering, created two beings to rescue Inanna. They entered the underworld and offered Ereshkigal gifts, soothing her anger. Ereshkigal agreed to release Inanna, but there was a rule. No one could leave the underworld without someone taking their place. Inanna returned to the world of the living, but her husband, Dumuzid, was chosen to take her place in the underworld for half of each year. This myth explained the changing seasons. The time when Dumuzid was in the underworld was winter, and his return brought spring. The Sumerian myths of creation were more than just stories. They were the foundation of their culture, their religion, and their understanding of the world. The gods were not distant beings but active forces in daily life. The people built temples to honor them, offered sacrifices to please them, and told their stories to remember them. Even today, these ancient myths fascinate us. They show us how the Sumerians saw the universe, a place of order and chaos, of gods and humans, of life and death. Their stories remind us that the questions of creation and existence have been with humanity since the very beginning. And though thousands of years have passed, the echoes of their beliefs can still be heard in the wind, in the rivers, and in the stories we continue to tell.